Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our time together. I'm Lori Lamantia, and I'm here with the magical Trisha Fisk.
Good morning, everybody.
Hi, everyone. And it's funny, today, Trisha and we started talking. Well, what we're going to talk about today is telling a news story. And we're going to do this in two parts because as we were preparing for this time together, we got some clarity about the idea of a story and the reality of making it a story. And
Yes.
so, and what we had talked about, and I'm going to put it out from my perspective and then let Trisha talk about what we were thinking. Last week we talked about I can't have my life and my joy until and unless I everything is out there perfect. And so this week I was thinking, telling the story from my perspective, free of the past, but free of other people's stories. And and that's important. I don't want that to get missed, is that the story we're talking about is a you story. It's not a everybody else story. It's a you story. The things that you want, the experiences that are meaningful and important to you, and telling it free of the things in our life. And that's the truth about the story is a creation, right? It's what we want to
Mm.
create. It's the creation that is us. And it's interesting when we use the word story, it's a very powerful message. And so when I was thinking about you get to decide it, you get to feel it, you get to experience it. Um, and it can be simple. It can be as simple as I choose joy. And that's what we were going to do on I'll call it a superficial level, was talk about the story that you get to architect that is your conscious creating. And then now I'm going to turn it over to Trisha and let her say how she was going to talk about this idea of telling a new story.
Right. So my idea originally thinking about this was I had a yoga teacher training over the weekend, and we talked about the 8 limbs of yoga, and the final limb is samadhi, and that's where you connect and you realize your divinity, and there's no separation from you and what you're focusing on and all this beautiful stuff. And but once, right, I was going to talk about this perfect ending to the story.
The divinity story, the
The
joy story,
divinity
the
story,
abundance
right,
story.
right. But then Lori and I got talking about what actually our week had been like, and we realized we are working towards our divine divinity story, but at the moment we're both kind of walking through a lot of shit.
Mhm.
And right, it's time to make choices about that. Real choices about that. And I'm gonna let you use your story with your family because you spoke of that really lovely.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a classic thing that I think everybody can relate to. I had sent a text inviting some family members for a weekend, and I'm like, I'm going to be up. I'm going to be at the lake house, whatever. I would love for you. I would like. I didn't say I would love. I would. I'm offering for if you're available, you're welcome to join me. And I didn't get a text back or anything. I didn't get a thumbs up. I got no response. I felt ghosted. And so I started, playing all these things in my mind about what are they thinking and how disrespectful and don't they love me anymore and don't I rank? I mean, insane amount of crap from a text that wasn't responded to. And I was building a story around it. I was building a story about myself. I was building a story about them. I was building a lot of stories. And then I realized, wait a second, Lori, the only person that is in this story is you. So, what story do you want to tell yourself? What um what story are you going to tell going forward? Because it doesn't matter what happened to this point, it's who am I going to be? How am I going to be? How do I choose to be going forward? And all the reasons why they didn't text or whatever, they're not my business, to be honest. I don't know what they are. The only thing is that I want two things out of the future story that I tell it in love for myself and them, and that I don't create any energy tethers. And we said sovereignty without tethers, meaning I don't want any regret, retribution, revenge, because I
Right.
was like, I'm not going to invite you to Thanksgiving. I'm not going to give you any Christmas presents. I'm just, I was like, I went to the bananas, and I'm like, okay, rein it in, girly. And and I really, and it made me really decide, and this is the power of deciding your story on a local level, right? This is what I'm choosing for my energy, my conscious creating going forward. I will send them love. I don't know why. And the second thing is, and I texted them, and I'm like, I really thought, well, maybe in the future. So I texted them and said, in the future, it would be really helpful if you just gave me a thumbs up or whatever, or thumbs down, doesn't matter, just to let me know you got it. Still crickets, still crickets. And that's when I really went mental. Like, I'm telling you how I would like to be respected or treated, and still crickets. And so it's going to take a little work on my part, but that's what part of the storytelling is deciding. And so, when Trisha and I were going through this, we were talking about that, like, oh, samadhi, and tell the story of joy, and tell that I'm satisfied and I'm at peace and I'm allowing my abundance. But the stuff under that high level idea is, what story do I want to tell in this moment about these particular things that are going on? And I think it's choosing that story that lives in my heart, the one that puts me in my heart and does not create any, I'll call it, I've been calling them tethers, but other people would call it karma. I don't want any crap karma. I want freedom.
Right. Yeah. I also have a family thing going on. My sister passed away in July, and when my parents became of that age to pass, I was in charge and I just handled everything. Everything was just taken care of. Boom, 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 and then I started to grieve after I got the work done.
Mm,
After I got, yeah, and I'm watching my family handle this by not doing anything.
mm,
And it is absolutely driving me crazy. Um, my I There's two cats living in an empty house that during the week I go over and feed, and my sister's clothes are all still there lying around her bedroom. And it really drives me crazy because I want her to be able to move on.
mm,
And I see that as a way of preventing that from happening. But again, like we were talking about, that's my stuff. But I did ask permission. I didn't just do it. I asked permission. I want to pack up all of her stuff and take it someplace where people can use that. So I have a friend who knows a place where they provide clothes for people who are homeless and stuff like that. So I will pack that stuff up, stage it, say a prayer to my sister, let it go, and
mm,
step back for a while. Right. And because as we've been saying, she has a family who is dealing with her passing in their own way, and they will do that. And so I want my sovereignty without being plugged into they should be doing it this way or they should be doing it that way because that's how I would do it.
mm.
Yeah. So it's
Very
right.
generous, very courageous, very kind, and respectful to you and them.
Right.
I love that.
It feels like work though. Quite honestly, it
Well,
feels
because
like
they're
work. It's
so
not
right. It's
automatic. Right.
intense. It's
Right.
intense. Right. There's a lot at stake, and there's a lot of, it just feels big. I mean,
Right. It does. It feels heavy. It
Hmm.
feels heavy sometimes. So,
Yeah, it's not a
yeah.
ignored text by any stretch.
But still, that's still it's family stuff and our connections and our plugs into each other and the things we take on. Um, I'll share my other story is I have a friend who's very wears makeup all the time, and her hair is always well done and she dresses really nice. And she made a comment about my hair that was on it was disapproval of my hair because I really pretty much just wash my hair and let it go. And it's frizzy and it's long and all this stuff. And
And it
I
frames your
can't.
face beautifully, just throw it out there.
And and I came home and I thought, wow, she disapproves of my hair. What do I think about that? And after a couple minutes, I was just like, that's okay. She can disapprove of my
Mm,
hair. That's
mm.
fine. Right. Because I don't. I approve of my hair, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah, but I love the maturity of that and the checking in because you could have went, oh my God, I mean, could have crashed your world. I mean, hair is a big deal, looking good is a big deal, feeling, alluring is a big, all those things that get whooped up in there.
Right. Or
And
maybe we're not as good of friends as I thought we were, and
oh yeah,
I'm being judged and right,
right.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the clarity of untethering from her, and who knows why, she was brought up her way. You look presentable and beautiful and made up all the time.
Right.
And that's her story or agreements, let's say. And I love that you decided about it consciously,
Right.
were
I
you?
actually like it being a little messy.
Oh, there you go. Right. I
Yeah.
mean, right. But I think the consciousness part is the key. And I think that's the part
Right.
we really are trying to come forward with is so much of our stories can be unconscious. We started talking about
Hmm.
like that last week, and especially when it really matters to us, like at the end of life, and like with your sister, and with relationships. Relationships make us rewrite our stories, tell our stories, demand other people agree with our stories, and man, uh, that's what's on the docket is feeling into where other people's stories have become your stories, deciding if you want them to be, and then, of course, deciding what you want yours now and going forward. Because everything in the past, I know it's programmed into us with beliefs and agreements, but boy, we're in this new world, in a we're in a new world with a new energy that's pouring down on us from all the cosmos, and it's asking for us to up level our understanding of what it is to be a divine, sovereign, magical energy in a physical body.
Right. And I think it's not about denying the stuff that's in your life and your physical body and the ego stuff that pops up and your relationship stuff. It's not about overstepping that stuff and disappearing it. It's about putting on those boots and walking through it and
Right, and
walking through
using
it.
it, using
And
it.
yes, and consciously making a decision about what you're going to let go of, what you're going to unplug, and what you're going to stay plugged into. But
100%.
yeah, it can't be unconscious. I think that's the thing that keeps coming up for me is it's got to be a conscious decision or there's no samadhi. It's got to be a conscious decision. It doesn't just happen to you or fall on you um, because you're being good. And being good, I'm sitting around meditating all the time.
Right. Thank you for that. And I do think samadhi is our natural essence when we are not here. But I think that what we're being tasked with, and we've talked about this a lot. I don't know that we've talked about this in the podcast, but we are divine beings on the leading edge of figuring out how to be divine beings in a skin suit. That's
Right.
not normal for an unlimited, unconditional, free, free
Right.
floating energy. But when you take that and you try and stick it in a body, it takes it 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 takes a lot of new incorporation and new understanding. And I think we are on the leading edge as human beings and I'll call us masters. If you're listening to this, you are a master in trying to incorporate a huge energy into a little bitty body. And
Right. Yes.
it takes some real consciousness and
It
grace
does.
for yourself.
Yes. And it reminds me of, one of the things Carolyn Meese said when I saw her a couple weeks ago was, we're creating a new language.
Mm,
And she said, which really stuck with me, you know, 4 years ago, did we have language for talking about living from our soul or
mm-mm,
living from our divine self? We didn't. So
mm-mm.
we are creating this, right? We are creating this in time and through our slogging through what am I connected to and what do I want to unplug from?
Right. And the old stories that were ego-based stories or
Right.
resentments or regrets or expectations or demands. And one of the things I'm learning from this next generation is they don't do anything they don't want to do. They just don't. They're like, I don't want to go to your lake house. I don't even have to respond. And I'm like, I was taught, at least you say thank you, but I can't make it, or you give some kind of acknowledgement. That was what we were taught. Um, I don't know what to make of it, but I'll take the freedom. I'll take the freedom out of
Mm.
it.
Right.
I don't
Me t-
choose, I don't want to be that way to other people. I want to be, hey, thanks. And if you work with me, I do take a couple days. I do take a while to think about it and let it sit with me. So you won't get an immediate response, which I know a lot of people think you should get an immediate response. But I waited a whole week to get some kind of response. So anyway, that's my story.
All right. So our intention now is to spend the next week really looking at our stories.
Right. And
The from
deciding, right, go ahead, finish your say.
Yeah, and really looking at our stories and deciding. Speaking for myself, I mean, I'm 73 years old. I'm looking at how do I want this last chapter of my life? What do I want it to look like? What do I want it to be? And it involves participating in it, not just drifting into, oh, I want it to be samadhi, so I'll just sit and pray for that to happen. It involves unplugging myself from the stuff that is not what I want to take into this phase of my life. And
Beautifully said.
being honest about it, right?
Beautifully
So
said.
Lori and I are going to spend the next week putting our boots on and stomping through this stuff.
Right.
And then we'll come back and share what we've learned.
Right. Yes. And as we're doing this together, we of course encourage everyone out there to take a look at the story that they were writing and then the why can't I have that? And, and then kind of and use some consciousness around is this is this just a collective agreement that this is the way it's supposed to be, or is it a free and clear sovereign story without tethers? And a grace story that you would tell and give yourself the grace of allowing yourself to experience.
Yes. And the other thing to remember, I think, which is also important, is when we do this, we offer all of those around us the opportunity to do the same, whether they want to or choose to or not to. But we are demonstrating that this is how it can be. You
Right.
can, right, you can be sovereign too. You can pull the plugs. We're sharing that experience with those around us, and then they can choose that for themselves too.
Beautiful. Yes, absolutely. And when they make their choices, we got to go, oh, that's, I get it. That's a you choice. I don't have
Right.
to necessarily participate in your you choice, but I honor it.
Right. And I love you for who you are.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Da, 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 da. Okay, so
All
let's see what
right.
comes out next weekend. But we're starting the deep dive into the deeper story that we and the up leveled story that we're creating for ourselves. Nice.
Absolutely. Bye, everyone. Can't
Have a
wait to
great week.
talk again next week.
Love you.